you have Butu, you have Taser, you have Shield, you have all of that against people just using the throat to say, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go. And all you take a weapon of war and empty it out on women, children, elderly, who just saying, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go. Police, all your shame all yourself. The whole country, the whole Caribbean, the whole world laughing at all you. You all have made yourself the butt of every joke. Big, strong, hardback, strong muscle man. You trying to take us on granny?
Serious?
Oh, God. Hey, all your police are no shame, boy. All you are no shame. The whole country watching all you like a pack of mama pool, man. A pack of mama, man. Tear gas on women and children. Big, bad, strong, well-trained, armed with 9s, 15, one in the pipe, all kind of thing. Shield, battle pad, knee pad, boss. About 50 all you. And all you need tear gas to control women and children and citizens, law-abiding, from saying, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go. I wonder who gave that order for you all to look so stupid, TTPS. All you look like a big bunch of dummies. You don't even understand. People lost respect for you, and when people lost respect for the police, anarchy is next. You all are playing with the reputation of the TTPS. You are letting PNM make a laughing stock of the TTPS that should be holding your head high to protect and serve. People just socially separated and just pacing. No weapon, no violence, no rock, no bottle, no bullet, no fire, no property damage, no car damage, no sign damage, no riotous behavior, nothing. And all you use tear gas on them because them was shouting, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go, Rowdy must go. Who that hurt so much? How you hurt so much to pelt tear gas on woman? I wonder who gave that order, boy. How that little phrase hurt them so much that it would be so emotional, that it would be so wicked to create an army against the people and use weapons of war against citizens, women and children. Wow. You all thought it was a joke. You have a bunch of independent senators sitting down, pretending. Wear them out. They get pip. Paul Richards, what happened to you? I told you loquacious. Where is your opinion, Senator Vera? Where are you? What's going? This is not the saddest day in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. No, it's saddest day when UNC fighting to be debate, fighting to discuss, fighting to get a tribunal to investigate the interference in the Independent Police Service Commission. That is a shameful day in Trinidad because the UNC telling the speaker, don't mute me, mic. We want to talk. We want to debate. We want independence to have a free vote. We want secret ballot. That was terrible. That was a fish market. It was disgraceful, not so? Senator Mama Pool Vera and Senator Mama Pool Paul Richards, not so? I didn't hear you today. What? Tear gas on women and children, what's that? That's okay because PNM did it. It's all right. It's great procedure. It's very nice. It's happy times for y'all. Bunch of clowns. And playing that all is some kind of thing and no respect. Zero respect. Zero. Because they sell all their soul. For what? For what? Money. 218-7762. 218-7762. Taking a few calls. Man. Tear gas. Because people shouting, Rowdy must go. Rowdy must go. Rowdy must go. Hello. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Alan Cocky. This is Tada Roti Tomato Chokan Saina.
How you going, my brother?
I have plenty things to talk with you, but we could talk about Toe Jam Jacob first. I listened to the conversation with the vaccine going on Saturday now, you know, the press conference. And he was condescending to some of the reporters and there's look for it. When he jumped to the conclusion and he said, okay, he had 3 degrees. Nobody asked him about that. So he wanted to make the little girl or the reporter look small. But I will deal with him in another time when I call in. Because he also say that politics is a dirty word. And by extension, he's a dirty man. You remember he could ask Gat mother that, but that's not important. I'm talking about Toe Jam tonight. Toe Jam and his TTPS went to 2 places. The previous pushback, number 1, where Suka was the main attendant senior police officer.
What a ridiculous thing. The whole world laughing at our police to use tear gas on women and children. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Anil, Mr. Corky, and everybody out there. Good evening. Anil, where was the tear gas when they were lighting up the beacon? People were stuck in traffic for hours. Their lives were in danger because we know. You remember when they used to be blocking the beacon and robbing people there? Nicky Crosby was in one of those roadblocks at one time and they tried to rob her. You understand? Look at what it is went on yesterday because we stood up for our rights. When we always tell children when something is making you uncomfortable, you just say no. We said no yesterday because we are in an uncomfortable situation and we received tear gas instead. And thank God I had just left when that took place. I don't know what was going to happen. You know, maybe I might have gotten some because I know quite a few friends were affected by it. But I was just glad that I had left. That is so wrong, right? Are we in a dictatorship? Can't we say something? Can't we speak out about what it is going on in this country? This is real nonsense that's going on here. You see? And all those who did, you see what they did to us yesterday? God will deal with them. I leave all of them in the hands of the God. And this evening I want to tell Fitzgerald Hines, if it is that you love your little sister so much, you feel that your little sister so greedy to take money to go down in that cesspit hole, is that what you are saying? And why is it that you always have to blame the UNC for all your failures? for 21 weeks, your little sister was smelling that, inhaling that, or the toilet water. And you coming now to talk about who pay your little sister to go down there? You are really underestimating your little sister. Thanks a lot, Anil.
Thank you, my dear. And if you all don't know what she's talking about, the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Pomsite Rasta Hines, posted on a public Facebook post, first of all, calling that the United National Congress, all of the supporters, the councillors, the NATEX, the leader, the parliamentarians, the senators, all of the people who voted and support the UNC, calling them racist. Now, this is the Minister of National Security who has the power to create policy and deploy and give equipment and create strategy for the nation, and controls the forces, the police and so on, and gives them, and with this current police commissioner, gives him advice and so on. Yet he holds a portfolio of Minister of National Security and describes half of the country as racist, just so, without an iota of proof and evidence. Good evening.
A blessed evening to Mr. Anil Robert and to Mr. Koki.
Yes. Good evening.
Sir, our police has shown an indisciplined reaction in anger. They just bring a crowd under you cannot control because they're going to spread that disease. As a police officer, Mr. Jacob, sir, you are there to look after the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, not to anger people. Your duty is to be balanced, not to be for the Prime Minister and make a police state, so people would come back with anger for you all. I respect our police service, the army, but when you have to divide to make this land a police state, it is wrong, so taxpayers is paying their money for you to protect them. When people come out to march, it's for the whole country to see better. You think all you will get all your razor pay? Through the people who come out there to put their life at stake to make this land a better land. You cannot do that. You see, in division, this is what they're showing to the people. The police have 3/4 of PNM in the police office, 3/4 are army men in the police office, 3/4 of the Coast Guard man in the police office, and all government institutions are the 3/4 are for the PNM government.
Thank you, my brother. God bless. 218-7762. And Fitzgerald Hines, as National Security Minister, is posting such vile, racist, unsubstantiated nonsense and accusing the UNC of paying people to steal pump so that Port of Spain flood. Stupid, ridiculous, lying idiot Fitzgerald Pomsite Rasta Hines. And then talking about the UNC pay a lady to fall down in a tutu hole.
What?
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
First time caller to your program.
How you going? Welcome.
Quiet. This thing that happened yesterday, it was very disappointing to see that the police officers came out there to force these peaceful protesters on marchers, I would say, off the street. Because the police service too also are being forced to take these vaccines. And they themselves, not even half of them agree with it. And I can't understand why it is that they would go there to execute a duty as such. On the other hand, corporate TNT need to feel the hurt. And then the government will make changes. Some years ago, Senior Soup Alexander had a whole day of policing when they blocked the highway and had a roadblock. And Boma, Gregory Abud and them complain how much millions they lost that on that day. That's what John Public needs to do now. Go there, shut down trucks and containers and all of that kind of thing. 10-wheeler trucks on the highway and every archie in support of Spain. And let corporate America, corporate Trinidad feel the hurt. When they start to lose money, they will force the government to change policy.
Caller.
That's what we need to do. Thank you, caller.
Caller, Dogo.
Uh-huh.
You sound like you have some military training, some sort of training. So tell me, Am I correct in my analysis that tear gas is a last resort when you are about to lose total control of a situation and it has reached a stage of violence, vandalism, and destruction of property?
Correct, sir. Correct. That was uncalled for yesterday.
Thank you, my brother.
Totally uncalled for. Totally support.
You're wondering how
I'm one of the silent supporters.
Yes. You're wondering how I know. You're wondering how I figure out you have some kind of military training, eh? Have a good evening. Yes, man. Yes, my brother. God bless.
Again, corporate TNT, if they feel you out, we do something. John Public do something like what Alexander and them did up there, and that they say, oh, the police service held the country at ransom. They need to, John Public need to do that. They need to do that. Again, do it.
Thank you, my brother. God bless.
Put a kill switch on a big truck.
Correct.
Shut it down, and then when they call the wrecker, call a partner somewhere else, shut down another one. That's all they need to do. And
Be
things
safe.
will change.
Correct. And that is the point. Where you reach tear gas, if you have 20 strategies to implement as situations escalate, tear gas is number 20.
Yes.
How you reach that on women and children and peaceful law-abiding citizens? Hello, good evening.
Good evening, this is the Silver Fox here, Tobago calling.
How you going, Tobago?
Yes, man. Now, we have to understand how Jacob becomes the acting commissioner of police. Rowley put him there. He ain't got you no procedure. Jacob is just a slave. Jacob is just a slave for the PNM. And we have to understand Rowley will hold on to any straw to keep power. Rowley is under a lot of pressure and he will hold on all how to not to go from that position because he will get locked up. He will get locked up. They'll put the bracelet on him. So he's not letting go power that way. The only thing we can do, we have to shut down the country. The country has to shut down, don't care what you do, for this man to leave. Doctors, nurses, or everybody, you have to drop tools. It's the only way to get Rowley out, because Rowley said we could do what we want, he don't care. He said that Saturday he don't care. And the man is laughing at us. Right? The man is just a wicked fella. He don't about people, he's about himself and his family and whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. 2187762. So Fitzgerald Hines say that the UNC pay a lady to fall down in a tutu hole. Now think about that. Think about how Fitzgerald Hines thinks about his voters, his supporters, the people who vote him into office. That a woman would take a few dollars to go down in a hole filled with feces and swim in it, putting her life at risk for a few dollars. That's what you think about black people in the Beatham, Fitzgerald, Pumcity, Rasta, living in Maraval to bounce down people, dog. Hines, are you serious? That is the sort of disgraceful Oreo concept. How could you concoct such a ridiculous lie on a human being? So you telling me that the UNC have to pay people in the Beatham to know that sewer that smell bad? For 21 weeks, the people smelling tutu water, living in tutu water floating all around them and the children getting them sick. And Fitzgerald Hines say the UNC have to pay the people to find that wrong. My goodness. Hello?
We know you have to advocate on making it.
Hey, boss man, if it's a PNM, this is not your show, you know. This show is for people with IQ above 3. You understand? If your IQ can be counted on one hand, don't call here, you know. Go and call Balize House. Alright? This is not for you. This show is for intelligent discourse. If a PNM have brain and want to tell me that tear gas on women and children was a correct strategy of policing, crowd control, show me, read, and quote from any manual of international preparation of troops and riot squads, SWAT squads, police squads. If you want to try to present that picture to me, I'm willing to listen. But no dumb PNM stupidity who come to just talk and sit and nonsense. Don't come here. Go and call Small Pin. Go and dance with Small Pin and them. Go and see if you can get a little bit of Small Pin, brother. 3.81 bubba billion. Go and see if you could fit in Al-Rawi tight pants. The way you like he. Go and squeeze yourself into he drawers. But don't call here, dum-dum. 218-7762. Set a dotish PNM. Anyway, Tobago done show the way.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That you study.
No, don't study. Turn down the volume on your radio. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I will call back.
All right. 218-7762. I like how all you on the radio loud, but all you playing the radio for about your neighbors, everybody. That is douglAR radio. We getting extra listeners because the volume loud. 218-7762.
Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, Anna, good night.
Good night, good night.
You see the kind of thing of Rowley sending these people, this police to Dubai? Boy, this man is a sick man. You know, he tell one of his partners to go and play 36 man 7. He playing himself. You understand? And Rowley, them all of them have to go now. Why watch this man TV Saturday and he come on TV just to talk about why are you open all the beach and done? Your 2 hours is what? Have we come to do? What stupid is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, boy, you see, they just catch up at night now. And you see all them PNM fanatic.
They don't have many of them.
They tell them to wave the bodies here. And when they're done, try to make salad and they eating that. And that's how them stupid. Let them continue. It's performance you be dealing with.
Correct.
You understand?
Well
I
said.
dealing with. I know no race or nothing. It's Trinidad and Tobago.
But
We have to
Saturday,
come together
thank you, my
and get
brother.
this man out.
We had to unite and get him out. You're correct. He had to go. But that is what he say. Basically, Saturday he say, boy, I try everything. I stupid. I fail. Only on your own. Yes, we have to live with this thing. Hello. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robert. I'd just like to say one thing.
Yes.
Rolling in the ass in the lion's skin, boy.
How about good evening? 218-7762. Hello. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening. Hello.
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 Yeah, a boy you call back. They send phone card for you. PNM send mobile card for you. All right, they go send a little cassava too. Why don't push it in your mouth and keep it there? Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening again.
Good evening. Yes.
Right. And I'll say, don't study them on them.
Yeah, I don't study dotishness. Hey, let me tell you something. For anybody to vote for Rowley again, you have to be very dumb, you know. You have to have been expelled from primary school for stupidity, you know, not bad behavior. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, okay. You see, all them police and them who was in the category of the tear gas business, I think. But we had to investigate them. Everybody, the banking account, have extra money in it. And next thing, the people who close to them, friends who close to them, money going in their account. Because money go in this one account, not to show that the police get it, but it they in friend one.
All right, cool. Thank you. 218-7762. 218-7762. So Fitzgerald Hines say the UNC pay a lady in the Beatam to pretend she fall down in tutu water and put her life at risk. That is what the PNM thinks of black people in the Beatam. That is the kind of nonsense. That 21 weeks the people suffering with that stench, and Fitzgerald Hines cannot even fix it. If it was Goodwood Park or Maraval, that fix in a week. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Annie.
Good evening. What's happening?
This is El Socorro, man, short and sweet.
Yes,
so remember
man.
a few weeks back, there was a report saying that there was no methyl prednisolone in the country.
Correct.
But today there was a release of saying that there's no shortage of drugs and for BRC, there's no shortage of drugs in Trinidad and Tobago. Make it make sense. They knew everybody, man, Jack knew they're lying. There was also a report today saying that there were 11 deaths and about 386 cases or so. Right? By now, everybody know that they're rigging these numbers. Mark my words, Anil. Mark El Socorro words. after they have this little mini carnival what Rowley say they're going to have, right, and there's a spike in cases, they're going to say the protest causes it. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. We're going to take a short break, and then we're coming right back. And we'll come back with your calls, 218. All you attacking the Miss World? Why the PNM attacking the Miss World? Miss World? But the Miss World talk sense. She talk the truth. And all you vex, all you attacking, leave the girl alone. We coming to analyze that after. Let me go and eat some chicken from Royal Castle with all the seasoning and the pepper boy cocky.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air, they just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TNT.
Time has come. New 97.5.
Marshall Walker. Join me on U975, Hot Like Pepper, and douglAR Radio every Friday for Fire Friday. Every Friday when we, the UNC women, bring the heat. 6:15 p.m. every Friday. UNC women bringing the heat with Marshall Walker. Fire Friday. 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 Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white, and black. Friday, and back.
Yes, and we're back inside. I seen PNM people jumping on and attacking the little girl who is Trinidad and Tobago's representative at Miss World. The young lady said that she's created her charity to help poor children in Trinidad and Tobago, because we have thousands of children who are living in poverty, do not have food to eat, sleeping on cold floors and so on.
Yes.
And I have read some of the most asinine, ill-informed, uninformed comments attacking the young lady. Let me give you all some facts of Trinidad and Tobago, for those of you who live in your own little bubble and do not know what is really out there. You all like to talk and attack politicians, but as a politician, I have the privilege to have walked and visited and talked in every note. Do you all know how they calculated the poverty line in Trinidad and Tobago back then? They calculated it at $100 per month, which is $665 per month back then. 190,000 people living on $665 a month, 30 days. Many of y'all will not recall, but when I was on Radio Power 102.1 FM with the greatest sprang along Dennis Hall, I challenged that statistic because it was my belief that that line was not the poverty line, that was the misery line. Because at $665 for even one adult, and that figure included people who have to take care of dependents, 1 or 2 children, or a wife and 2 children, and so on. I went on, Corky.
Yes.
I tried, because I was on Gael TV doing Spork, and I was on radio every day with Spragalang from 4:20 to 7 p.m. The #1 radio talk show in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. We got 28% rating in talk radio, and we beat radio 96.1 on a Friday between 4 and 7. Spragalang and myself beat 96.1, 28% to 13%. That's why all now you see every morning show on Red 96.7, 96.1, 100.5, all of those have talk show. Them used to be just music, but now everybody have a little talk in between the music. That was because sprang along Dennis Hall and myself blow out everybody. So it changed the paradigm. But back then, I wanted to show the poverty in Trinidad and Tobago. And I said I'm going to try and survive on $1 more than the poverty line. So I took $666 and I said I'm going to survive as long as I can for this month with that.
What?
So no car, because your car buy no gas.
Yeah.
So I start off taking Maxi. Then that was too expensive. I take bus.
Right.
Then that got too expensive after about day 11 or 12. I start a walk anywhere I going, right?
Yes.
I did not include other things like deodorant and soap and things like that, razor blade.
Yeah.
I didn't include cable bill, electricity, water, nothing. All I said I'm going to use this $666 for is food and transport.
Right.
I buy rice and I eat just like sardine and corned beef and things. No, no fancy, nothing.
Yes.
With $666 spending on myself like that alone and walking. One day I walked from deep in Pity Valley to Abercrombie Street to the radio station.
So at that time you didn't have any family yet?
No, I have family, but I'm not counting that.
Oh, my God.
Right? I alone. Yes, I had family. I had 2 children, wife, but I'm not counting that. I take out. I myself go in and live as long for a month on this $666. Right? On day 17, I walked from Pity Valley, Palm Avenue, Pity Valley, straight down into Abercrombie Street.
What?
88 to 90 Abercrombie Street, Port of Spain, Power 102. When I walk in the studio, and I lost 16 pounds in 17 days, right?
Yes.
Sprang along, watch me, and he don't cuss. But he buffed to the point of cuss. And tell me that as an idiot and I have to stop, I'm going to kill myself to try and help out people and things. So I had to stop there. He said that's enough. Because he watched me, he watched how I come in, and if you see that man face sprang along, buff me for about an hour on the radio. And say enough, you make your point.
Yes.
So I say that to you all to say, at that time, 190,000 citizens are living at that point or below.
What?
Kamla Prasad Bisesa came in with Glenn Ramadan Singh and created the Ministry of the People. And she dropped that figure from 19.7% down to 16.7%. Still a very high figure. That meant 160,000 people still living at or below the poverty line. She increased food cards, for example, from 18,000 up to 42,000. And Glenn Ramadan Singh had planned to take that up to 100,000. Because the people needing was about 160,000. Then Rowley lied with small pen and email gate and so on, and the media played full, and Rowley became prime minister. And they reduced food card from 42,000 down to 18,000. Now they stop the food card. They stop all the assistance. They stop all the help. They shut down jobs. Before COVID-19, the poverty rate in Trinidad and Tobago under Keith Christopher Rowley went up from 16.7% in September 2015. By 2019, it went up to 23.8%. That is 230,000 people below the poverty line, which is now drawn due to the devaluation of the dollar, or the purchasing power, let me use the correct word, of the dollar and so on, inflation and so on. It's now written, it's up at about $875 per month. So before COVID, there were 240 odd thousand citizens living below the poverty line. Some of y'all who are cussing and commenting and attacking the Miss World don't even know what I am saying, because you all go to a restaurant and your bill is $800 and you pay that and you go home. And I know no fancy restaurant, eh? That normal restaurant for 2-3 people, $800 all you spend and all you're good. That is 240,000 adults salary for the month.
Yes.
You see how it's not funny anymore? You see how the young lady, Miss World, was talking the truth? As an MP, I walk all over this country. If you read the Dr. Selwyn Ryan report on the most impoverished places, you would not believe how citizens are living. And it has become worse during COVID because there's no money, no jobs, no hustle, no about. And the PNM has cut all assistance, the food net, while they have taken all the money to spend on friend and family and recusal. So the poverty rate now is probably around 29.5%. And that don't include illegal immigrants, of which at least 150 to 200,000 are here across Trinidad and Tobago, especially in the Southwest Peninsula. Those figures do not include illegal immigrants who are suffering and starving. And a young lady talks the truth and wants to help. And all your disgusting PNM sycophants start to attack the girl and say she embarrassing the country. So she embarrassing the country for talking the truth and going to try to help children who are impoverished. But Rowley and them who let me don't cuss now. Who mashing up the whole country by their policy, by the disgusting thievery, by the legalized thieving, by the 210 recusals. All you supporting that? All you supporting an attorney general who get $81 million for himself?
What?
You know what that $81 million could have done for these poor people?
Yes.
You live in your own bubble, you drive your cars, your children have laptop, you have cable, you have Netflix, you have air condition, you could buy your children toys, you go to swimming or dance class before COVID, you go to school, you go to the mall and you go to water park and movie town. Take your time and go and walk and see. Go and drive and see. Take a drive up the east-west corridor and go in some of the impoverished areas there. Take a drive down Naparima, Labre, Point Fortin, Barrackpore, Princestown, Carapo. Take a little drive and see how our citizens live before you criticize Miss World. How dare y'all? You have no information. You have done no analysis. You have read no reports. You don't know what we stand on the human index. You don't know how we stand on the quality of life index. You don't know where we stand on the poverty rate. We don't know where we stand on child illiteracy. You don't know what the policies of the PNM have done to damage children for decades to come. And you attack a young lady who knows more than you. She is absolutely correct. There are not thousands. There are tens of thousands of children
Yes.
who do not have the ability to eat but one meal per 2 days.
Yes.
Who sleep on the floor. Who do not have electricity. Who do not have textbooks, laptops. Who have no opportunity. Some who are forced to work the fields and sell and hustle. Y'all attack the lady for talking the truth rather than attack the PNM for creating the problem. You people are sick. And on top of that, what sort of country are we that a young lady trying to represent the country, creating an NGO, speaks very clearly, wants to help, and we are a bunch of bullies, jump on our Facebook and attack, comment up. We are a bunch of mama pools. We have no chivalry, no class, no what is that? And all you're wrong. You all are wrong. The Miss World is correct. Right now the poverty rate is at 29%. That is 290,000 adults living on less than $900 a month, you people.
Sad.
When they talk about live sport and corruption, do you know in live sport for the first few months when we find fellas on the street, we have to pay them in cash, they have to sign, some of them can't sign, they have to make an X. Why? Because they have no ID card, no birth paper, no nothing. The only thing we know is that they're here.
Yes.
They're here and they're talking like me. So we know them is Trini. They have no bank account, no nothing. They can't get a bank account. Because to get a bank account, you need ID, you need a WhatsApp bill, you need all kind of thing. Y'all don't even know that. That was 2,378 young black boys. That was just for boys. So before you all talk, take a drive in areas that you don't normally traverse. Go and see the poverty. When you're a member of parliament, you have to walk and talk and see and feel the pain. See the children. So Miss World Trinidad and Tobago was absolutely 100% correct. And rather than you all tell sponsors, corporate people, the government to help her NGO, to be another NGO to help, because there are many, go and spend some time in Serval and Living Waters, go and talk to those people and let them tell you about the poverty that they see. Don't jump on Facebook and attack a little girl. All you bunch of bullies, a bunch of mama pools. And you're wrong. So our Miss World is very correct. She's not attacking a country. She's not disrespecting her country. She's talking the truth and wanting to solve problems, not burying her head in the sand. She's absolutely correct. The poverty rate in Trinidad and Tobago calculated at about $865 per month before COVID stood at 23.8%. During the last 24 months of mismanagement of COVID and the lack of opportunities, job loss, food price inflation, the poverty rate, more people have slipped under there. The removal of the food card support, the school feeding program dropping from under Kamala and Tim Gopi Singh at 76,000 meals, breakfast and lunches per day, down to 48,000 pre-COVID under the PNM. Then down to 20,000, leaving children, 28,000 children without food. You know, all of these children depend on that school feeding program to get a nutritious meal for at least 5 days for the week. Y'all do not even know what's going on in your country, you ignorant human beings. And it amazes me that people without information could be so strong and opinionated. Imagine you have a strong opinion and you know nothing. That is a kind of a sad state of affairs. You do no research, you read nothing, you go and see nothing. You live in your little bubble and you feel you're so confident to attack Miss World without information. What kind of people are we? Something wrong with we? Hello, good evening. Hello.
We lost that call.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
218-7762. And in about 4 minutes, we will cross to the UNC Monday night virtual to have Vandana Mohit, Jolene John, and Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, Anil, good night. Folks.
Good night.
Yes, yes.
Anil,
Yeah.
go back to around the election time. When, well, first of all, let me see when Kamala had everything working in this country. When this country was a literal paradise. Remember, Rowdy hired a blind man from America to come and talk on stage?
Yes.
Right? If you could get that clip.
And everything he says, what Rowley do?
What is coming to pass right now?
Right now, yes. Yes, I will get it again.
But they didn't condemn that blind man.
Yes.
They vote for Rowley because of what he said.
And no, and
You
everything
understand?
he talk about, it happened under Rowley
It
and
happened
worse.
now.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah. You must
Thank
get
you.
that clip and play it for the people.
Yes, my brother. God bless. How could y'all, how dare y'all attack Miss World? The young lady is intelligent and correct. And from what I hear, she's working at constituency office of the PNM, so she will know better than all here, because in a constituency office, you go out and you see and you feel the poverty. Hello, good evening.
Good evening again, Alan and Coffee.
Talk to
That
me.
gentleman that came on the PNM platform was a villain from a former New York governor by the name of Patterson.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
All right. The other thing I want to talk about, and one of your callers just before you went on the break, talk about the amount of deaths that happened today, 11. And he alluded to the undermining the numbers. And knowing when you have a background in management, there's a term they use for that. Just before appraisals, and it's called recent bias, where the employees start to perform well, so they get a high mark. So I'm hoping that the Ministry of Health and the employees are not basically moving and doing things for the PNM to look good. Let it come out. What that audit should be doing, saving lives, not trying to save Rowley's skin. Go on and have a nice night.
Thank you, my brother. I'll do some reset that there for my
All you have to do is do this and then do that.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you, my
yes,
brother.
yes,
Thank
all
you.
right.
Good evening.
Yes, good
evening.
One of the challenges why you find people have that great difficulty to accept what Mr. Will is because these, let me be kind, our fellow citizens hate Rowley, but they love the PNM in one. And so no matter what happens, what they have is they have a conundrum. They don't know how to separate what they're really feeling about the real situation in Trinidad and about how people suffering and all the difficulties, and pin it on Rowley, but yet not blame the PNM. So the dance and the time dance, simply because the love for the PNM is so powerful, so strong. They hate for Rowley, but oh God, they love the PNM. So no matter what, they will take the pressure, take the stress, lie to themselves, deny their own conscience and all that, to simply allow Rowley to stay there so they can afford to take great the PNM.
Thank you, my brother. And I'm telling you all, it's amazing that people attack Miss World for creating an NGO to assist. There are many NGOs working and doing fantastic work out there, helping. But with the limited help from the government, when Kamala Prasad Bisesa was removed from office, all of the social net, the programs to ease poverty, the ministry of the people, the direct impact, the stupidity of the PNM to put in newspapers advertisements for poor people to come and access grants and so on. Poor people don't buy papers. People below the poverty line, Gorky, people below the poverty line don't spend money on a newspaper.
That's right. Yeah,
Do you know that every week I spend for the first 45 days $55, and then 6 days $66, and on a Sunday $14 or $15 when it rains, right?
Yes.
That is how much? $81 by 4. That is $324 a month I just spend in newspaper. In order to prepare and research for this douglAR radio, douglAR report, douglAR politics.
Yes.
That is half the salary, monthly salary of the 290,000 people below the poverty rate.
What? So they can't. That's why.
You understand what I tell you?
Yes, yes, yes.
I just spend half the poor people salary for the month on newspaper alone.
I'm learning a lot from you, Bayan.
And they're going to attack the little girl. Miss World is correct. All your fast and out of place, dotish people. People are suffering in this country. And you all think politics is some kind of game. Do not attack the girl. She is correct.
Yes.
And you all should be supporting her and let her go and help some children, because anybody could help some of them children out there. God bless her and bless her NGO and bless people who helping, and fire burn the flipping nasty, disgusting PNM, and fire burn Rowley as we go across to the United National Congress Monday night virtual. We are waiting to hear from MP Vandana Mohip. We are waiting to hear from Deputy Political Leader and Senator, the Honorable Geraldine John, and then feature speaker, former Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, and Member for Separia, the Honorable Kamala. Prasad Bisesa, let's cross. Who attacked the girl? Go and check for yourself. Go and check the statistics. Go and take a drive around. Look around. Go and drive around in Bangladesh. Go and drive down on the train line. Go down point 14 and Labre. Go down in Princestown. Go in Barrackpore. Go in the back, in the villages. Go and see how your citizens living. Just because you could go in Chaguanas and Price Plaza and you nice in South Park and C3 and Christmas tree and Diwali Dia and Nighty and nice thing, good for you. But there are 290,000 citizens of Trinidad and Tobago living below the poverty line. Archie, I know what's going on, Archie. We waiting on you. Where Archie? Let me call Archie. Yes, let me call my Archie boy.
Archie.
Archie, my boy.
He's probably finishing up some editing right now.
No, and he doing all the other live broadcasts.
Yes.
So he have about 10 other Facebook pages. Yeah.
Hard working Archie.
Archie! Cross, we waiting for you, my boy.
Yes, standing by.
We standing by, we standing, man.
Cross over to douglAR
all right,
radio.
All right, 4 minutes. All right.
All right.
Thank you, my brother. You having some problem with bandwidth, I tell you. people, children. She is very bright, intelligent, and representative of the good in Trinidad and Tobago.
So what, are
And
they
y'all-
upset about this?
Them
Sad.
what you could do is you could probably check too and go on a UNC page and see, instead of the douglAR page,
Yes.
go to our UNC page. You want me send you a link or anything? If I send you a link,
A UNC page.
see if you find a UNC. Yeah, look down there. Look at talking
This
there.
one
Click
here.
on that and see if it could work there. I'll take this call in the meantime.
Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good night, Mr. Arnold, and good night, Coffee. How are you?
Hi, yes.
I like to say, Mr. Arnold, that, people don't like to hear the truth.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
We must
the
hear the
truth.
truth. Yes.
And the Bible says, the truth shall set you free.
Correct.
So there is Sandra Manga,
Yes.
just like to say,
Say a prayer for us, right?
Yeah, I would like to say, I went looking for my tablet, CDAP tablet, in Tunapuna, and I get most of it, it's just one I didn't get. So I would like to say that you see, I just have to be going around the pharmacy you given me.
You want to move from pharmacy to find your medicine.
Yes.
Oh Lord, sorry about to hear that.
Of planning and development. I was kind of confused because Camille Robinson Regis held this position many times, and she had no plan and nothing developing in this country. So where's she real purpose? She real purpose is to act in the government through the women's arm, because they always issuing some kind of nonsense press release. Anyways, let me get back to the business. Our next speaker is a very dynamic woman, and she makes you feel so welcomed and she makes you feel so empowered when you're in her presence. And this is a woman with a lifetime of service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Jerlene, or JJ, as she is fondly called, has been on the ground walking many paths, but all have pointed to one direction, the direction of development and service to the people. Throughout her many years, one thing has always remained certain: her respect and belief in the UNC and its capability to transform Trinidad and Tobago into the first world nation we are destined to become. Senator Jerlene John has consistently represented us in the Senate with distinction. She's our deputy political leader who is not only capable of making the tough decisions, but like our political leader, Ms. John is a woman who has compassion, care, and love for the people, all necessary for taking Trinidad and Tobago forward. So all of our viewers, let's put our hands together from our home and our devices and wherever we are. Listen, let's put our hands together and welcome Ms. Jerlene John.
This is the revolution, the people's revolution. This is the revolution. Let's unite and stand for something. This is the revolution, the people's revolution. This is the revolution. I want to hear everybody sing. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom.
Thank you so much, Chairman Kanhai. Very kind words. Good evening to the honorable political leader of the opposition. My colleague speakers, this evening the brilliant Mr. Kimraj Kimi Mek Sunil Sicharan. Wonderful opening. I am sure everybody, there's a consensus that you have a long road to travel, and you're also the winning candidate in the DB South by-election. Well done. The Prime Minister, at his press conference held on Saturday 15th, in making a case for imposing his non-recourse vaccine mandate, used the concept of free choice as the basis for his argument. I want to agree with the Prime Minister that the choices we make can deliver some unintended consequences. Yesterday, January 16th, was a day unlike any I had witnessed in the country, and hope to never see again scenes which would have gone viral on social media yesterday and on the daily newspapers last night on television, where men, women, and children walking peacefully around the Queen's Park Savannah, singing hymns and clapping their hands, were tear gassed and shot with projectiles. It is significant today. January 17th is a federal holiday in the United States and marks the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King, who 50 years ago said, a riot, and I will change that and say, and paraphrase, he said, protest is the language of the unheard. Yesterday, men and women from all walks of life wanted their voices heard. Heard because they have no jobs, heard because of the high price of food, and you would have heard MP Mandana Mohit giving a very detailed treatise on that just now. They want to hear their voices heard because so many of our citizens are dying without explanation. They have no trust in the government and their management of the COVID-19 pandemic. And because the last time I checked, Trinidad and Tobago subscribe to the principles of democracy. Therefore, citizens are free to express themselves, free from fear and free from being tear gassed. There were men, women, and children, Rastafarian, Hindu, Muslim, Christians holding hand, singing, all singing, young and old. When the saints go marching in, stand up and tell me if you love my Jesus, and move Satan, move, let me pass. What about that is dangerous, or seditious, or damaging, or threatening? Is it because right after singing move Satan, move, let me pass, they started to chant, Rowley gonna go? Is that enough to spray down children with tear gas? Even persons going about their legitimate business around the savannah, just driving, going about their business with glass wound up, were being sprayed, and children inside the vehicles were being hurt by this tear gas all around the Queen's Park Savannah. What is so offensive, threatening about citizens of Trinidad and Tobago singing, clapping, and walking? So what is so threatening to the state that the PNM government will give instructions to let loose the riot squad with full force against little children? Who authorized the use because I really hold no brief for the police, but the instruction must have come from someone with high authority. Who is it? The country need to know. We deserve to know who let loose tear gas on children yesterday. Tear gas is dangerous. It has been used by military services and law enforcement agencies, and exposure can cause blindness, chemical burns, respiratory failure, and even death. And yesterday I saw persons on social media posing with some part of the projectile. These canisters can kill people when fired. So we need to know who did that. The organizers of the pushback protest, as they call it, not protest, protest, on the next occasion should call the Attorney General in advance and ask how to convert Queen's Park Savannah into a restaurant. In fact, there are many vendors right now selling doubles, bacon shack, corn soup, burgers, barbecue on Queen's Park Savannah. So Queen's Park Savannah actually is a food mall. So they need to ask for permission on the next occasion to walk around the food mall. If I'm to quote Dr. Rowley from his Saturday's press conference, he said, as we look at the state of affairs, we will also have to acknowledge that a significant part of the conversation has to do with choice. I simply want to say that from day one, it has been and it continues to be an issue of choice. Now it is clear, and based on the data presented, that over 50% of the population have not taken the vaccine. And instead of taking responsibility and working on more effective messaging, their health protocols, where when people go in, you may as well make the sign of the cross and start to sing Near My God to Thee. Because you know, Rowley health plan is that you go in like the Hotel California, you could go in anytime, check in anytime, but you will never leave. So there's a deep-seated lack of trust and widespread trust, lack of trust against this Prime Minister and his government. Yet they continue to blame everybody, even the man in the moon, for their abject failures. But they could jump high, they could jump low, the people have made them out, and the people are ready to toss them out. So on December, in going back in time a little bit, on December 18th, 1 week, 7 days before Christmas, the Grinch Rowley, who came to steal our Christmas, came to the population and said, as the largest employer, or a representative of the largest employer, on 17th of January, all public servants were expected to show up to work vaccinated, or they were going to stop them from working, cut their pay, and eventually terminate their employment. They call it something called furlough. But they're throwing you out. About a month later, that was Saturday, on the 15th of January, he informed that the policy had been delayed for 1 month to facilitate the passing of appropriate legislation. People here, as usual, start to jump up cheering that they have achieved some kind of victory, some 2 hours extra on the beach, and so on and so on. What perhaps was not heard was when the Prime Minister said, in Trinidad and Tobago today, the private sector has taken a number of steps in a number of places in order to keep private sector operations open for the benefit of all of us in Trinidad and Tobago. That's end of quote. So as a consequence, what he's actually doing is tying up loose ends and consolidating with the private sector. His self-appointed committee is supposed to, mandated to report in 7 days, and whereas on December 18th, he was making a play, as if he was serious about consultations with the union, on Saturday, he spent a considerable time disparaging the very unions who are the representative of workers. The Prime Minister read extensively from a 4-page letter he said he received on the 13th of January, which he was written to him by JTM. And he summarized, it said that 4-page boiled down to who live, live, and who dead, dead. A government in this situation cannot accept that, end of quote. So between you and me, Mr. Union Leader, it appears as if stick break in your ears. Because when the Prime Minister told you he closing down Petrotrin, he said he wasn't closing it down, he then proceeded to close it down, putting over 10,000 employees out of work, not counting the fence line community and so on. They told the country further they were going to make owners of the union by handing over the refinery just before the 2020 election. These elections are now in the rearview mirror, and so is the OWTU and any hope and dream of owning any Point of Peer refinery. So union leaders, stop pappy showing yourself with Rowley. He does not negotiate in good faith. He uses your correspondence to disparage you, and by extension the working man and woman of this country. And the citizens deserve better. So Saturday, all that was about was to inform that the joint chambers had presented a position, because he read out of 2 letters. Right, one wasn't so important, the one from the union, but the one from the joint chambers, he called AmCham, the Energy Chamber, Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce, and Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. He said they cover a large swath of the population. I suppose the union represent anybody. He said we recommend that all employers be given the ability via the appropriate legislation. I think that's these manufacturers and so on, right, in terms, they just be from the chamber. They said we recommend that all employers be given the ability via the appropriate legislation to declare their offices, factories, and other work sites a quasi-safe zone, and therefore to require that all employees in that workplace to be vaccinated with exemption only on valid medical ground. The chamber said the employers attached to their organizations wanted the flexibility to determine their own policies on how employees who refuse to abide by their vaccination policy are to be treated. They also want to control who medical practitioner the employees see, claiming, according to the Prime Minister, the potential for hanky-panky. You know, he likes these kind of words in sick leave issuance. So, what the Prime Minister was doing in essence was not giving anybody any blight. He was buying time to consolidate his power with his friends, aided and abetted by his friends in the private sector, whom he appears they don't care about imposing the same sanctions they are contemplating imposing on the employee. They don't care about the person coming to buy. You could come and buy, you will find, whether you're vaccinated or not, that is okay. You just come, I go take your money, I don't care about your status. But the people inside here, I will manage them. So I want to advise the Prime Minister, the private sector, that today is Martin Luther King's Day. And he said injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And if the private sector joins with dictator Rowley to impose these punitive measures on people working with them, I say we go boycott them. We'll boycott all of them. The UNC will work against you and boycott you because what you are doing is wrong. We will stand with you. You will recall the uproar when the UNC positioned on the anti-gang legislation, when we pointed out that there were infringement on the rights of citizens. They all said, shut your mouth, go away. Sharp Eye Washington, Attorney General we have. He said, we know where the gang members live. We know who they love. We know where they buy the KFC. We know everything. But up to today, not one charge, not one case have they settled. Not one. Right? So, but you know with this government, nothing works. Nothing is the truth. They are not accountable. Yet the private sector continues to breathlessly and mindlessly just support this government. They just join in the line and whine. They don't care. So you will recall Rowley's first action was taking laptops away from little children. And it did not end there. On the advice of his friends in that same private sector, he imposed a 7% tax on goods you would have bought from Amazon and Target and Walmart at reasonable prices. So now you're paying 7% more. So now they want to instruct you using Mr. Rowley's law on who doctor will determine if you're sick and who doctor will determine if you're well, in clear contravention of your clause 4 and 5 constitutional rights. So stop fooling yourself trying to Tobago that Keith Rowley is backing down. Nothing is further from the truth. Tobago knew who they were dealing with, and on January 25th, 2021, they sent him a warning with a 6-6 result. You would have thought that he would have learned something. To cure the tie, our honorable political leader, senior counsel, went to the parliament and said this is a prescription in law. But the Prime Minister will have none of it. He said, no. I don't want to hear any of all your monkey cocoa. Those are his words. Those are not my words. And not because I'm a Tobagonian, don't say we just make this. I can't make this thing up. He said, I am not engaged in any monkey cocoa. Because he had a plan to do as he damn well pleased. The Prime Minister and his PNM team went to the Parliament and changed the law by instructing a complicit EBC to move the electoral boundaries from 12 to 15. The opposition was the only voice crying in the wilderness. Because as long as people get big contract and they get their forex and they get an invitation to play golf, they see no evil and they hear no evil. So it was only after the wipeout on the 6th of December, the wipeout in Tobago that is, Martin Daly Senior Counsel commented in the Sunday Express of 12th of December. The election was the 6th. He never said anything before, but on the 12th he said in the Sunday Express, he said in relation to the increase of seats in the THE, and in response to other legitimate inquiries about the basis of this decision, it makes the Election and Boundaries Commission has not been as forthcoming as it should. I am yet to understand the constitutional basis on which the government could require the EBC to make boundary changes in Tobago, simply in order to break the 6-6 electoral tie that occurred in January. Unfortunately, Mr. Daly, as he goes on, the legitimacy of an election and the pushback of the people of Tobago against being force-fed with legitimate legislative changes triumphed against another possible compromise of constitutional principle. When did the senior council speak? On the 12th of December, 6 days after the election. Only the UNC had stood up for the people, had stood in the gap of the people before. But on the 12th, I must say, the senior council, like Stella, he got his groove back. So you see the people, you see the PNM felt they had a foolproof conjure. But the people of Tobago spoke on the 6th of December and ran the Prime Minister out of Tobago. And as a Tobagonian, let me engage in some colloquialism. We have a colloquialism. Many of them, I should say, but one in particularly to explain the situation. We will ascribe to this. When fish come out of sea and tell you shark, they're there. It means Rowley has shown you who he is. Believe him. And as my Angelou said, believe him the first time. Trinidad and Tobago cannot continue with the lies, the deceit, the outright corruption up in your face, the unexplained debts, the economy lying as a wasteland, no jobs, the crime, the interference with our public institutions and officials. It is time for change. It is time to take a stand, and KPB and the UNC will stand with you. The UNC will stand with you. We don't have to accept what is passing now for government. We are better than this. So, ladies and gentlemen, this evening, I assure you, again, as we celebrate, because Martin Luther King had influence across the world. I want to use another one of his statements. He said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And Trinidad and Tobago deserve justice for the 3,000 lives lost, unexplained death. And I don't believe that committee in 7 days can shed any light on it. We need justice for the workers of Petrotrin. We need justice for Shanti Riley and Andrea Barrett and Sade Emmanuel and so many of our young women gone too soon, murdered with no closure, no rest for the families. Justice for the 6,000 businesses that were closed down, never to return during this same pandemic. Justice for the children without devices who will lose their chance at life, their chance to go as far as their ambition and ability will take them because of an uncaring government. So as I close, for those of you in the struggle, yesterday you were tear gassed. But if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Again, the great Dr. Martin Luther King. So let's move forward with the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Let's move forward with the United National Congress. We have worked so hard on your behalf. Kamla Prasad Bisesa was the best and most productive Prime Minister this country has ever seen. And we need change. We need for her to sit in that seat again. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
This is the revolution. I want to hear everybody sing. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom.
Thank you very much, Deputy Political Leader and Senator Gillian John, for her brilliant contribution, touching on very critical issues that affects every single citizen in this country. Our next speaker, it's such a difficult thing to introduce this woman, but we have a woman who has dedicated her life to represent people. At her age, she is still very passionate about people-centered, people-focused, people-driven governance. You know, we hear stories of David and Goliath.
Congratulate him and wish him the best. When he came to the screening committee, he impressed the entire screening committee. And I think we made the right decision after screening all. But let us thank those who offered themselves. All the nominees who came forward, they were all brilliant, hard-working people. And they have committed to support our candidate for that Davie South seat. So let's thank them all. Let's thank the former councillor who passed away nearly a year ago. And this Davie South election, remember, we had to take the PNM kicking and screaming all the way to the polls because they refused to call this election. Almost a year. They only did it. I wrote a pre-action letter last year. Another dunce AG saying we can't have it, have his lawyers writing because they know we can't do a by-election because we have COVID, we have a pandemic. But hell, they had 2 elections in Tobago, 2. And they couldn't do 1 by-election in Trinidad. And it's not the first time they've done this, They have a history of undemocratic representation. We saw in Tobago, our deputy leader spoke of it, JJ. They had Tobago on this tie, will not use the law to break the tie, try to gerrymander the boundaries of the law, they still lost. They still lost. Got wiped out in Tobago. And that too, their history of not wanting to call local elections. I remember I said to you last week when I spoke with you that, for years, from 2003 till 2010, they never called local elections which were due. Didn't call them. Why? Because they were worried that they will lose in those elections. They kept postponing 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When we get to 2010, thank God the government changed. We were in government, and I ensured immediately after the general election that in July of 2010, we called the local elections for the whole country. So here we are. I wrote the pre-action letter. We have Anand Rob Logan. He filed the court case on behalf of a person who lives in Davie South. And lo and behold, the case is about to come up for hearing. And what did they do? They put a date for the election. So this government has nothing to do with keeping the law, with upholding the law of the land. Their way is to bully, terrorize, despotic, dictatorship government. And that's what we saw yesterday. I want to strongly condemn the government for the use of tear gas. People were peacefully demonstrating, Deputy Leader told you, JJ, peacefully demonstrating at Queen's Park, Savannah, against the dictatorship of the Rowley government. They were standing up for their rights, their freedoms, fundamental rights. And what they do? Tear gas them. Tear gas these people. I think we should be really, really terrified that this government has taken us down the road to what is happening in Venezuela. What was happening in Venezuela? Tear gassing your own citizens for standing up for their rights, man. How much law? How much more dictatorial and despotic? JJ called for
find out who gave that instruction and why. I want you to look at these videos to see what went on in the Queen's Park Savannah yesterday, please.
This is craziness. Sunday, my neighbor died next door, so we decided to go Highland to get some stuff for the wake. Unknowing that, I don't know what is going on by the Savannah. Police and the government throw tear gas while I was passing with my vehicle. 2 daughters and my grandson just got tear gas in our face. It came through the van and locked in. Burn up our face. Couldn't even see to drive, but had to get out of there. This is total chaos. This is an innocent bystander. Rather people protesting. They have freedom of speech and freedom of right. We were innocently passing. My 4-year-old grandson. This is craziness. People, wake up. Wake up. This is craziness. My eye was burning. I'm the driver. I couldn't see. And I have a baby, my grandson. Look, my niece, my daughter, and my 4-year-old. I was driving blindly to get out of there. This was done by the police. And they are off under the government. Total chaos. I am so disappointed. So disappointed. We were innocently driving.
Alright. Where father, man?
Innocent person, innocent citizen to be subjected to that kind of treatment. And if we look at the headlines today, every newspaper, you know sometimes you get a headline on the front page, every newspaper, tear gassed, Express, 11 held at pushback walk. Newsday, that was the Guardian, and the Newsday, tear gassed. Do you know when was the last time tear gas was used in this country? It wasn't in World War I or World War II. The last time tear gas was used in our country was in 1975. And do you know when that tear gas was used in 1975, what was happening? There was a, please someone take this. Yeah, in 1975, there was a walk, a march for peace, bread, and justice. There was a march for peace, or say bread, peace, and justice. That was in 1975. There was a religious march for bread, peace, and justice. And that turned into Bloody Tuesday after violent police suppression by the BNM. Again, 1975. People were marching for bread, peace, and justice. And guess what? That gave birth to our party. Some people, I think, will remember that. It gave birth to the ULF, which morphed into what we have now as the UNC. Because that's what they were doing. They were marching for their rights, for bread, peace, and justice. And that turned out to be a Bloody Tuesday thereafter. That day turned into Bloody Tuesday in 1975. Where are we going? Prime Minister Rowley, where are you taking this country? What is this you want to do? Do we want to end up like Venezuela? It seems Venezuela is no better than Trinidad. Huh? Because I read somewhere about 1,000 Venezuelans are going back to Venezuela. They're running from Trinidad. They're running from Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister. What are you doing? Someone sent me a little WhatsApp with an article from the BBC World Service. And the headline is How a Tear Gas Canister Changed the Course of the Life of Fabiola Campiali. How it changed her life. This was a factory worker in Santiago, Chile. She was blinded when she was hit with a tear gas canister fired by a police officer. What she did next landed her a place in Chile's history books. Now this is very, very important. The police brutally tear gassed their citizens
on the instructions of some higher up. And I'm sure this thing that took place yesterday, I don't believe that the police did it all on their lonesome. Someone high up intervened. JJ told you, Deputy Leader JJ told you they were going, Satan, Rowley, move. And that's when it happened. So this dictator wants no one to speak out, to stand up for their rights. I say again, I condemn what took place at Queen's Park Savannah, and we must not forget it in the same way that Fabiola Campilai, her life changed the history of Chile. You know why? She got blinded by the leaden canister, and I saw some of the videos coming out of the Queen's Park yesterday, citizens posting and so on, and where people were saying they held it up, it was a leaden gas canister. And should that, the guy said, you know, it was yesterday, I only found this thing in Chile today, about Chile. He said, if this hits me here, I'm dead. So this tear gas has a leaden gas canister. If it hits my eye, I go blinded, and this is what happened to this lady in Chile. And what she did, there were waves of protests, violent clashes across Chile, as people demonstrated against inequality between the rich and the poor in the country. Tensions rose between security forces and protesters, and tragically, during the demonstrations, more than 30 people lost their lives, with thousands more being injured. Fabiola didn't take part in the protest, but, as she always did, she worried about the impact on those living around her in Chile's capital city. One night in November 2019, she was heading to a night shift at the Facureche Burg. She heard that the protesters had died down for the day, but what she didn't know was that the police had not yet pulled out of the area. So she's on her way to work, she is. That's like the lady you saw in the video there, you know. She was a passerby. She told us what happened. So she was walking down the street, this Fabiola lady. Guess what happened? A tear gas canister fired by an officer about 50 meters away hit her in the face. These canisters can get incredibly hot. It's estimated the metal cinder would have been about 200 degrees centigrade, which is about 392 degrees Fahrenheit, at the moment of impact. She collapsed. The police officer left the scene. Fabiola's neighbors and her sister lifted her in a car. They took her to hospital. And she says, I just remember telling my sister, my face hurts, it hurts. She was put in a coma. She had life-changing injuries. The impact shattered her skull, and she was permanently blinded. When you were doing that yesterday, officers, did you understand whoever gave an instruction, that you put people's lives in grave danger, their health issues in grave danger? On this woman, she was not even in protest, just like that lady you saw in the video. But just an innocent bystander. She says everything was different. The police officer left the scene. I couldn't do the same basic things, neighbors, daily things. For her husband, Marco, it was a very difficult time. He said I had to look for our children and be strong for our children. But I was broken. It is hard for me to talk about it because I feel a lot of pain and anger. The police officer who threw the tear gas canister is under house arrest, awaiting trial and so on. And then Fabiola became, in November 2021, she became the first blind senator in the parliament in Chile. Changed her life. She took her life and worked for people, to stand up for people and for their rights. And so those people yesterday in Queen's Park Savannah, what you did yesterday was not in vain. And those who took that action will have to pay for their action. I call for full investigation to be done to determine where and how and when. Who gave that instruction? Is it the same high official who said remove the merit list, the police merit list? Take it back, give it back to Bliss. You know, we say Bliss is ignorance, or is Bliss si pasad. We are in ignorance, and that's not Bliss. Who asked for that list to be removed? And here we have this police service commission now, shifting into that point, because everything they do is wrong in this country, you know. So you have high officials intervening there. I'm asking, in investigate and let the country know who gave that instruction. And hello, before you even went there, you went prepared. That tear gas was taken to the Queen's Park Savannah. That tear gas didn't arrive on the scene. The police went with it. Who gave you that instruction? Who told you to take tear gas your own citizens, man? Where did you get that instruction? The country deserves to know where that instruction came from. And so I was talking about the Police Service Commission now. And it's supposed to be an independent institution. They are now saying, yes, we are not going to use that merit list from last year, 2021. Have they given any legal reason? Have they given any explanation why they will not use a list that was compiled? Once again, is it that this government and this Prime Minister, they want a hand-picked police commissioner? So they got rid of the one who was there. They said, take back your list, please. Not going along with that merit list because you don't want the people who were listed there. The country you owe the country an explanation why you are not going to use a list that was a valid list. So are you are you the beck and call of the Prime Minister and the government? You deserve to give us, and we deserve to get an explanation. Give us the legal advice. Have you sought legal advice which says you could just tear up that list and throw it away? That list is sitting somewhere there in that commission, Police Service Commission. Why are you jettisoning that? Why are you throwing it away? Why are you tearing it up? This is a country that operates on law. But again, from the top down, are lawbreakers. We see the lawbreakers. You see, this man stands up and talking about setting up a committee for safe zone and quasi-safe zones and whatever it is he did. And he tells us, the man is so bold-faced and brass-faced, he goes on national TV for the whole country to see and what he tells us. Look at this.
I was in Castaro last week
What he told this country.
in a vehicle. I went into a place that sold beers. And I had a beer. And on my way to the vehicle, I had this beer in a container, a plastic bag, which it was in. And it was such a hot and beautiful day. I sprung my beer, and then somebody came up to me and said, "You, consumption of alcohol in a public place is against the law. So you missed the opportunity of seeing me behind bars for breaching." It happened so easily, but it was a breach of the regulations.
So the Prime Minister has admitted to
So you missed the opportunity of seeing
there
me
is one law
behind
for the
bars.
PNM and Rowley, there's another law for the rest of the country. That breach of the regulation incurs a liability of a fine of $5,000. For the ordinary person, yesterday you had them tear gassed, but the Prime Minister said, hey, that's a joke, you know, hey, I broke the law, it was such a hot day and so on. But everybody else, one law for you. You get locked up, you get fines, you have to pay them. Faris Alwari, another lawbreaker. Again, you saw him on national television, hand wrestling when the regulation says distance, social distance. They could break the law with impunity, and it's a joke. He said we missed the opportunity of seeing him behind bars. Well, I don't even want to see you outside the bar or inside the bar, but I don't want to see you because you have brought this country to its knees and people are suffering. So look at you. You agree that you broke the law. So I wonder what the police are doing about this. What is the TTPS doing? You see, that's why they want their own hand-picked commissioner and deputy commissioner, so they'll give instructions. So I call on the police to investigate this matter. We have a man blatantly, openly admitting he broke the law and nobody's saying squawk. Nobody says anything. But yesterday, you go out there and you tear gas people. One law for them. You know, there's a saying, they say some people are equal, but the PNM family, friends and finances, they are more equal than everyone else. You have a man admitting to breaking the law. They're fighting on everybody to obey the law. So what are you going to do with this admission? Is there going to be an investigation into the breach of the law? And what's going on with the Pelican Brief? What's going on with that? You have again, they're condoning their friends, their finances, and their children. The son of a minister condoning their actions, breaking the law. One law for the PNM and their friends and family and financiers, another law for the rest of the country. So I raised that issue with you, and they say in his own words, I don't know my words. You saw him, you heard him tonight on that video. And then I mentioned about the Police Service Commission, that the way they're operating, when their names came to us in the Parliament, you all remember that? We raised serious objections to some of the persons who were being nominated to sit on the Police Service Commission. Do you all remember that? We said, listen, look, this person, she's closely associated with Rowley's apartment, townhouse in Tobago, the Inez Gate. You all remember that? This person is closely associated with Rowley's friend, Mr. Warner, of Inez Gate fame. She cannot be there and therefore seem to be transparent and independent. And we had issues with many of the other commissioners, and then the first thing you do is you tear up the list, pelt it away with no explanation, and say, hey, listen, we're going to start this whole process all over again. All over again. When the whole thing had been gone through. And on top of that, to make matters worse, they filed in the Parliament new orders for the selection of a Commissioner of Police and for Deputy Commissioner of Police. They filed new orders under the law. Because remember that Duns AG, his last order from 2021 last year, again Anand Ramlogan took them to court, and the court struck down that 2021 order. Struck down the order to select Commissioner and Deputy Commissioners. So they filed a new order in Parliament, and we in the opposition, both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, we have filed what is known as a motion to annul those orders. So they rushed it though. They used that since this new order, they have used it already to appoint Mr. Jacob, and I cast no aspersions on Mr. Jacob. They used that to run and appoint Mr. Jacob as an acting Commissioner of Police, when those regulations are still for debate in the Parliament, both in the Senate, I said, and in the House. Still there for debate, so that we can examine what this Duns AG has done again. He's created this new order, and we have to examine and debate it. So I want to remind members of the Police Service Commission, you are not above the law. What you're doing is illegal. By scrapping that merit list, you are acting outside of the law. And you're going to have to go to court and answer as to why. So you better come now and tell us you are not above the law. Tell us why you took a decision. Did you get legal advice? What advice did you give yourself to arrive at a decision to scrap the merit list that was already prepared and ready to go? Why? You owe us an explanation, members of that Police Service Commission. So we saw Mr. Rowley again in his press conference talking about an investigation. He has set up a committee, a few members of the committee, and the biggest joke, he has given them 7 days. 7 days. Okay? This committee is to investigate about 6 things in the terms of reference and so on, about the COVID challenge. Now, we call it the COVID charade. I have been calling since last year, before the deaths had reached this over 3,000 mark. I have been calling, we have been calling for a commission of inquiry into the management of the COVID crisis. And guess what went on? Rowley comes up, we get this bright idea. He says, okay, we'll set up a committee, a hand-picked committee again. To do what? What can you possibly do in those 7 days? This 7-day wonder committee. What can you do in 7 days? You have no powers. You have no jurisdiction. You have no legal authority to summon witnesses. None. You have no jurisdiction, no power, no legal authority to demand documents to see them. So what will you do? When you're marching to wherever, whichever hospital or healthcare system, what are you going to do? Doctors busy running up and down, nurses trying to save lives. What are you going to do when they refuse to give you the information that you're seeking? You have no power. Get that clear in your mind, you know. These persons on this committee, they have no power whatsoever to do anything. That is why we called for the Commission of Inquiry since last year, because a Commission of Inquiry in law has the power, has the jurisdiction, has the legal authority to summon witnesses who have to come, and they must come They must take an oath and give evidence on oath. What are you afraid of, Mr. Rowley? What is wrong with a commission of inquiry? Why cannot the public see this commission of inquiry that will do its work in the public? You can have public hearings, people on the oath giving evidence. That's what you need. You know, United Kingdom, they have agreed to a commission of inquiry into the COVID management. What is the government afraid of? And therefore I feel this committee better rethink their remit and should rethink whether it should sit on that committee. Because I think you're going to be used as a puppy show. The whole thing is a charade, it's a puppy show. That you're going to have these people with 7 days with no powers to do anything. You have these persons, very great people. I have nothing against any of them. Maybe brilliant people with good intentions. But the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. So you do not have the jurisdiction to do this big job, and further you have 7 days. 7 days to do all these things. It's really, really a frightening situation. That's the best the Prime Minister could come up with. And then he holds his press briefings really. What does he do? It's like he's giving you a little bit of crumbs, you know. Oh, listen, we open the beaches, but it's only until what? Noon. We open them like, oh, we keeping the beaches up now. You could go up till 2 o'clock. But don't play no music. I never knew that music used to cause COVID. Anybody here knows that? That if you put on music, I thought music was a thing to soothe you and relax you and feel good. No music. No alcohol, but guess what? The man tell us he on the beach in Castara. And that's what he's doing, breaking the law. So he comes with these little lies to make you feel he giving you something. And on top of that, what tells you, oh, we could have a kind of restricted carnival. Yeah, so he comes, you know, trip, and he wouldn't do what is necessary. I think he has good intentions too, but they are so incompetent. And the advisors have called for the removal of this failed propaganda team that they have, the health team. This team, Parasram and Abdul and blah, 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 that team you see on the charade and every press briefing about the COVID. You have failed. You have failed. Give up the job. Give somebody else. There are brilliant people in this country. You have shown clearly that whatever you have been doing was wrong. When it is, we are over 3,000 deaths in our country. And we are the highest number in the region and in the world. Little Trinidad and Tobago. I always say, you know, Barbados has better growth rates than us. Other Caribbean countries, you look at their GDPs higher than ours. You look at their infrastructure better than ours. And what it is, they don't have gas, they didn't have oil, they didn't have natural gas, they didn't have oil, they didn't have those resources. That's why you know what it is. What they also do not have is a PNM. And that's why they're always able to do better than us. Because we have a PNM, incompetent, waste of time government. Every time. The Prime Minister, not only these people do not have the legal power to summon witnesses and documents and so on. The Prime Minister, in my respectful view, has prejudged the matter. In other words, he has given what it is they're going to find. That is why I think JJ said the committee is set up just to put a nice plaster on everything to make the government look good. The Prime Minister himself told the country that the healthcare is the best care. Our healthcare is the best. So he's setting up the committee and tell them, all right, go there and investigate. But guess what? This is the best. Ours is the best. You have prejudged the matter. You have closed your mind to it. And so these investigators, again, I say, rethink that you may be damaging your reputation by taking this puppet string from Rowley. And you feel so busy, you're doing so good and so on. You think you're doing good. You want to do good. But given the confinement and the restrictions I've outlined, you will not do well given those restrictions. And then when we look at the terms of reference of this committee, there are more questions than answers. For example, term 1 states that this committee is to identify the profile of COVID patients who have died, identify them by gender, age, ethnicity, and comorbidities. Are you telling me after more than a year that failed PR propaganda team that you have, they don't have this data? What were they doing for the whole year? When they come every week for their press briefing and put it up chart and statistics and things. Hey, don't you already have this data? Don't you have data who died from COVID according to gender? Is it male or female? Death certificate tells you that right away. It says male, female. Age, death certificate says that too, as far as I can remember. Comorbidities, the death certificate will tell you as well. If not, this data will be there in the healthcare system. So this is already available to the chief medical officer and the medical team. You don't really need a whole committee. Hey, by the way, are you paying these committee members? I think the country would like to know how much they are being paid for this 7-day wonder job that they have to do. When we look at term 3, that is even more puzzling. It states as its objective to examine the admission, discharge, and transfer, this is the ADT policy, and procedures to find out the impact of any of these things on clinical outcomes. Now, this is absolutely shocking. To learn that over 3,000 deaths later, a review of the ADT policy, which is the admission, discharge, and transfer policy, you're now reviewing this thing. You're now going to review this ADT policy. You're going to let that happen now after over 3,000 deaths. You were not looking at that before. What were you doing? What was this team doing? This high-profile team, you already have your medical team with the CMO. That is now going to take place, and that speaks volumes of how the parallel healthcare system is being managed. Term 4 now. Term 4 speaks to appropriate staffing levels and accessibility of necessary medicines. 3,000 deaths later, you now going and find out about staff and accessibility to medicine. Well, people will tell you. They will tell you when you go into that healthcare system, they don't even have a Panadol to give you. And remember, even before COVID, our hospitals didn't have Panadol, they didn't have medication to give people. So you can imagine the situation. You wait till 3,000 people die, 1 year later, you're not going to find out what staff and medicine. And all this time you had people there, your carnival man in the health authority, that North Central Health Authority, moving senior staff out of the COVID hospital. Moving them out, shifting the staff out. You know, going on to what staff and medicine, man. Are you for real? Are you serious? Do you really care about anybody in this country? This committee curiously has no mandate to determine accuracy of data being collected or determine the testing levels within the hospitals. As I said, we found ourselves 3,000 deaths later, and the highest rate of deaths in the region and in the world. And so this committee, in my view, is not a serious attempt to save lives. It is just another puppy show, a charade, whose only objective, is to shield Keith Rowley and his team from responsibility for their failings. I again repeat my call for a full commission of inquiry. If you're serious, it's not too late. A full commission inquiry, which should be tasked with full jurisdiction, data to get documents, and all of this will be produced in an open forum, public forum, for general public to see. And together with that, there will be an oath. The witnesses will have to give evidence on oath before a commission of inquiry. And we talk about deaths. Let's move to some of the saddest moments in the lives of every person, which is when a loved one dies. When a loved one dies is one of the saddest moments. I can tell you I've had a lot of loved ones I've lost, loved and lost, and you never forget them. I think anybody will tell you that, whether it's your mother, your father, sister, or your brother, you don't forget. That stays, that pain stays with you. And can you imagine how much more horrendous it is now? When a loved one, your loved one passes away, you keep them in a facility somewhere, and hey, who paid for that? You know. They will keep you there for how long, however long, that body. Not releasing the bodies of the dead ones who died from COVID to their families. And this has particularly impacted on the Hindu community, which is a large segment of our population. A very large segment of the population. And then when you have to do the cremations, 30,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever it may be, when if you had that open fire, it will be so much cheaper. And of course, in keeping with the religious belief of the Hindus, this is their religious belief and faith. And so I was horrified when I read in the newspaper, Forrest and whoever, they complimenting themselves, hey, we lift the ban on these open fire restrictions. I was horrified, patting themselves on the back like they did something so great when they were the ones in the first place who placed that restriction. And they cannot provide a shred of evidence, a shred of science, a shred of data to say why they put that ban on open fire cremations. Why? Up to today, we should not give them a free pass with this. We should not praise them. Oh, they come to this agreement, blah, blah, blah. They're so happy like pappy. When for a year more, you locked down this religious ritual to lift it out, so they come to make you feel they're giving you something when they tip this first place, they took it away. You took it away, and therefore, I know this is a matter on and again Ram Logan has taken to court. Again, the case was coming up for hearing. So what they do, they run and open up, they say, oh, we moved restriction. And they want you to praise them for that when they put it there in the first place without any shred of evidence or science. These people for real, this is amazing what they do and feel they could forever get away with it. But every rope has an end, and time is always longer than twine. So we are coming for you, Rowley. We are coming for your government, and we will not stop until we move you from office. We will move you from office by legal means. We will challenge you in the parliament, outside the parliament, in the courthouse. And so there it is, these people, this suffering. I come from a Hindu family background. I know what it is. That is a closure when your loved one dies. So don't come and mama guy people and make them feel you've done them a great service when you, in the first place, you put this ban. Why? Come and tell the country why, and you will still have to answer in the courthouse. Because even though you've settled and make Mahasabha feel you've settled with the Mahasabha, there's still the case that Anand has in the court. On behalf of a person who lost a loved one, you will have to pay money, damages. And I will ask every citizen who has gone through that inhumane treatment by this government, come forward, let's go to court. They will have to pay you for the suffering that you went through because you could not open fire, cremate your loved ones. Every one of you, you have a case, and there is no, statute of limitations. Am I right, Janty? There's no statute of limitations to say, well, it's too late. So even your loved one died last year, you still have a matter in court. Let's do it. We have the precedent, and I know Anand is going to win that case. And they will have to pay the family. So I'm asking you, come to any MP's office, we'll take your names, bring your loved one, bring the death certificate of your loved one, and we will take it up in court. We will stand with you. Deputy Leader told you that, we will stand with you. The UNC will stand up for you, with you, and stand for your rights. So don't be afraid. Come forward. We can only help you if you come. The good Lord says, the Lord helps you, but only if you help yourself. So you have to make that first step. You have to come. Come forward. And so I say to this government, one, you must apologize. Don't come and smile and take picture about you. You lift the ban on these things. You should apologize to the population, to the national community for discriminating so openly against the Hindu population, and any other population would use open fire cremations. In fact, those who are not Hindus, they also use them because it's a far cheaper form of disposing of the remains of your loved one. So, first of all, I agree with the editorial of the Express. The Express editorial, I think they agreed with me. I had put out a statement, and remember it was only last month there, right here, on this platform, with this podium, on the UNC platform, I said the government has to rethink and review and revise the ban. Hey, within 2 days they did it, but that's not why. I think they listened to me. In fact, I think they will do the opposite of anything we say. But Anand had the case in court, and the case was coming up for hearing. So they think they could scuttle that case is not scuttled, it will go forward. And you will be found wanted. Wrong, AG. Once again, wrong, lost. Hey, the AG has lost another case, by the way. You remember in 2017, I'll ask you all to look at the video, I don't know if you got it. 2017, I stood on a UNC platform, we had these access tax, property tax issue. And I took the valuation form and I did that, ripped it apart, and I said it is illegal. It is against the law for that AG and that government to be asking you to fill out the valuation forms. That was in 2017, and then use a section of the law. I want to congratulate Anand Ramlogan again, like tonight and this week, this month, in fact, is Anand's month. Anand won that case in court as well, where he challenged the illegal actions by the government. And of course, Faris lost the case again. Another gloss to you, Faris. But you know, when he loses, I told you that last week, you lose. Because when they have to pay the costs, you think Faris take it from his rental money to put it there? No, 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 no. It is your taxpayers' dollars. Every time he loses a case in the court, your taxpayers' dollars will go to pay the costs, the legal costs of those matters. So, we see all these things happening all the time. I raise that property tax that they did, you know, and when you watch that dunce AG, I'm sorry to be calling him dunce, but you feel really dunce here. Total dunce. When you hear him speak all this flowery language, you know, even his own members get bored with him when he has to speak. His own members in the house, because he has this way, you know, he's flowery and flowing and whatever, and surat and only rat he could talk about. That's the only law he knows. That's the only law he knows. And so, lost a case again, and you have two more coming that you're going to lose. You will lose this case that Anand has brought with respect to your restriction on the open fires, cremations. You're going to lose that. And you will also lose the case based on your delay and failure to call that by-election in Davisau within a reasonable period. So I know my law. I can talk my law. I don't have no rat in my cupboard. I know about the law of Trinidad and Tobago. I know about the law of Trinidad and Tobago. So my friends, procurement regulations, well, what another sham and farce. We passed this law, procurement, for the first time in the history of this country. Law was introduced to give oversight to everything involving the giving out of government contracts. Everything. The procurement law, we passed it in 2015. You know what these guys did? How many years now? Nearly 7 years. From then, when they came in September 2015, sorry. They came in 2015. They did nothing to put this law forward, for the law to be implemented. Never proclaimed it. Never. Did not bring the regulations. Well, they brought it last week, and I'll tell you a bit about the sham. That's another charade in itself. The regulations. But I've said they did nothing to implement. But you know what they did? You know what they did? They came twice to the parliament to cut out the procurement law, to take out very serious matters out of the procurement law that will not be, there will be no oversight of those processes and contracts. So you know one of the things they took out? Actually, Dunce AG again. They took out legal services. So that AG could continue to do what he wants, hire whom he wants, how he wants. All the state agencies, hire friend and family, hire a wife, hire the wife. AG's wife was hired by the Prime Minister to do something in that. I don't know if she, oh, it was something to fight children down. Something to fight down about scholarships, if I'm not mistaken, for children. To fight down AG's wife. Look, I have no problem with you and your wife, son. But you know what? I have serious problems when it comes to taxpayers' dollars being used for your friends, your family, and your finances. So they remove from the procurement law legal services. Why? So the PNM will continue to do what they want when it comes to hiring people for legal services. Why? And then they also remove from the procurement law, they remove financial services. Why? Well, we have the recusal twin. Don't forget, Faris one at one side of the twin. The other side is Stuart Young. And that whole cabinet is a recusal cabinet. I wish they'll recuse themselves from government and just get the hell out of here. Just go. Just go. And so we have Stuart Young, his brother and his father and his family, maybe not his father, but certainly his brother, in NCP Global Finance, millions of dollars. Financial services, you pull that out. So Faris recused himself, free. Yes, legal services, and then you remove financial services. And the Cruiser twins are very happy, smiling all the way to the bank. So I was talking to you about the procurement regulations. So they took out these two very major limbs from the procurement law. Now they come finally 7 years later with regulations. And I want to congratulate and thank, and I hope, boy, you don't also walk after I congratulate and thank you, but I want to thank the procurement regulator himself, because it's him and his department who were mainly responsible for the drafting of these regulations. They have done a great job in drafting the regulations. So the concern is not in the wording of the regulations. The concern is in the implementation of the regulations. Like everything else from this government, they talk a lot, they do a lot. When JJ mentioned, I heard JJ talking about Andrea Barrett and Miss Riley, the young woman who died and so on. Remember after Andrea Barrett, big hooray, 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 hooray. Same Duns AG, pepper spray. Where's the pepper spray law? What has happened to that pepper spray law? So when things happen, they have a knee-jerk reaction. Immediately run out, yeah, we're going to do it, and it never gets done. So where's that pepper spray? And now you people crying out and talking to you about procurement. So you bring the regs, and guess what? The man himself, the regulator himself, a public accounts committee that is chaired by MP Tanku in the parliament, they questioned him. The meeting took place this week, it was, well, during last week. And he tells us, look, listen to this, can you believe? That out of 314 public bodies, public entities as ministries and state enterprises and so on, who are the ones who are to give out the contracts for anything. Out of 314 of these, only 70 responded when they were asked to report on their readiness to implement the legislation. Only 70. So the majority of the state companies, state enterprises, statutory authorities, and ministries have not responded. Can you imagine that? They have not responded to tell the regulator their state of readiness for implementation. He told further to this committee, out of those, only 20 had a proper code to conduct public procurement. So 20 out of 314. So is the government for real? Are you serious? So is that a puppy show, another charade in the parliament to say, look, we're finally going to bring this procurement law. And then really you had 7 years for implementation, and only 20 of these 314 government and governmental bodies, they reported to say that they had a code of conduct for procurement. So it's not going to happen. It's another charade, as I say, a puppy show to make you feel that the government is doing something when indeed they were doing nothing. I am very proud that it was my government placed on our statute books the public procurement law. And Rolly, you all can run, but you cannot hide. We are going to move you from office, and we will ensure that proper procurement takes place in Trinidad and Tobago. You have got it out of the law. We will replace those, remove what you've taken out, and put it back into the law. I said every rope has an end, and time is longer than twine. You're not going to be there forever. And if we have our way, and we work hard in the UNC and elsewhere, we can move them before their time, politically move them within the law. We can do it. So let us commit together. Let us commit that we will continue to work together to take our great party forward. We have a great opportunity on the 7th of February, again, to dip your finger in the ink and vote for Kemraj, the UNC candidate for DB South. So the job continues, the work continues, and I want to thank all of you who have stayed with us through the course, and those of you who have committed to continue to work with us. And when I heard MP Vandana speak to us earlier, very bright young ones, the young ones are really coming forward, so I want to thank MP Vandana for what she said tonight and sharing with you the suffering. The suffering, you know, we forget sometimes. When I heard her say, a gentleman came to see her at her office, and he said, I'm a taxi driver, he said, I'm going to take 3 passengers. Do we even think how that is affecting his life and that of his family? So we forget, she said, oh God, well, yes, we know a lot of people have lost their jobs thanks to this wicked government. A lot of jobs have been lost. And then even those who hold on by this, what you say, by the skin of your teeth, you cut down the numbers in the car, 3 people. So his income is again reduced, Vandana. And that is the level of suffering as MPs that comes to our attention all the time. And you talked about the food hampers and the fresh food hampers. I really don't know what it is they're up to. And I said it last month and I will repeat. I believe they spent out the money in that Tobago elections. They do not have the money to make these payments for the rest of this fiscal year. So what do? Ms. Cox says she is investigating fraud. But who is running the fraud? Are you not in charge? You have fraud going on for a whole year. And you don't know, find that out. You have to stop everything to check out the fraud. I think that is fraud by itself. What you're doing is a fraudulent way of stopping the program when in fact you all spent all the money in Tobago and still lost the election. So be real, Ms. Cox. I like you very much. You're a great person. Good looking lady too. Nice girl, bright. But that's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Just like your failed medical team put on all their pretty clothes and line up in front of the camp. That's not good enough. And then you call our citizens, they're too greedy. Do you know what it is to do without food? I tell you, I know. I had that experience growing up. My family was a poor. I know what it is. 6 children in a house. And you can't get a proper meal. Can't get a proper meal. Where we were creative. Fortunately, we lived in the countryside. So we had a lot of fruits. And the neighbors were quite willing to let us get the mangoes and whatever it may be. And because we lived in the countryside, we would plant things that we could eat. So that helped too. But Ms. Cox, I wonder if you know what it's like for people living on the corridor, living in these barracks, small places, no land to even plant, and no neighbor that is even planting something, what it is to do without a meal. That when people came for the hampers, you call them greedy. That is downright disgusting and humiliating to any citizen in our country. And I strongly suggest, Ms. Cox, you should apologize for that statement. You haven't done so yet, you still have time. No statute of limitations there too. You can do it anytime. You should apologize for branding our citizens greedy and do your job as best as you can. So Vandana, thank you for sharing with us. Where's Vandana? Somewhere there. Yeah. Thank you very much, MP. And let me thank Councillor Nicholas for his chairing of our meeting. And again, you see the young ones. I remembered Vandana as one of the young ones. Councillor Nicholas has a long way to go, and a new councillor incoming. What Jillian said, she said he has a long road to travel. Bright and brilliant young people committed to the UNC. We thank you very much. So when you come in, each one bring one, bring two, bring three, bring four, bring more. We need the youth. We need the youth. Whilst Nicholas praised me, I'm going strong and so on, that's very true. But we need the youth and the vigor. And I can see it when you all speak. We can hear it. Your strength, your energy, and your commitment, and how genuine Mr. Kemraj, your candidate. I told you I was so impressed. I started the meeting by congratulating you. And I asked you, I think I sent you a text, I say, go brave and bring that seat with a very large margin of victory. So God bless you. Thank you all very much. And may God bless Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much.
The people's revolution. This is the revolution. I want to hear everybody sing. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Everybody sing. As we move in this people's revolution, my brothers and sisters, let's all walk together as one. This revolution is about restoring our democracy. And this revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution. Come on, come on, people. Let's move. Come on, people. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. People crying out for justice. Some of them crying out for freedom. Everybody crying out for democracy. Now it's time to take a stand. Yeah. Come on. Cause this is the revolution. The people's revolution. This is the revolution. Let's unite and stand for Sunday. This is the revolution. The people's revolution. This is the revolution. I want to hear everybody sing. Everybody sing free.